Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Hello, you're listening to I Am Home, the Home Life Best Life podcast. I'm Tyler Weiskup, rocking this thing solo today for a super special guest. Many of you know him as a crowd favorite on the Netflix hit series, The Circle. It's Chris Sapphire. Welcome, Chris. I know typically I like to wait a second before we bring you right in, but I'm just so excited that I have to kind of say, welcome. I see you. Hi, Chris.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm over here praying in my mind that I don't have any oatmeal cream pie all up in my teeth.
We're just recovering from lunch, so some oatmeal cream pie was on the menu for you.
Well, I actually woke up a while ago. I didn't go to sleep till really, really late. I stayed up last night just going down the YouTube rabbit hole. And so when I get up and I have things to do and I don't have time to have a proper lunch or breakfast, I have a huge box of oatmeal cream pies and I just inhale one and they allow me to function for an hour or two before I feel like I'm about to faint.
Well, fantastic. You look great. I'm so excited to talk to you. We're going to talk about The Circle, obviously. We're going to also talk about your career, being a media personality in radio and television, as well as growing up. I know you've just recently had some upgrades to your home and so much more. But before we get to that, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast. And that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. Learn more at NFM.com. And again, Chris, we're so excited to talk to you. I'm over the moon about this opportunity. Like I said, before we jumped on the mic, you're one of those people that radiates energy and enthusiasm, and it's infectious. So I've been having kind of a contact high, just kind of digging into who you are as a person. Many of our listeners might know you from the Netflix hit reality show The Circle, where again you've got charisma, humor, authenticity, all as a part of how you played the game. But before that, you were a talented makeup artist, as well as, like I said, a media personality with a career in radio, television, and entertainment. And you've recently done some work in your home, which I'm excited to kind of dig into a little bit more. But I wonder if we can start because I know one of the things that people love about you is these really memorable quotes. I've got a couple here. I think this one was part of the season 1 trailer to The Circle. It goes like this. How often are people quoting your quotes back to you? Is this a thing?
I get it on Instagram, people quoting them. It's just been so surreal.
Yeah, it feels a little weird to do it to you, but I'm going to because they're just so good. This is going to be real juicy. I hope you all got a cup.
Yes,
I think that was in the trailer, and that's just that's beautiful. That's poetry right there. I like this one too. Another one from the show. I think tomorrow's a brand new day to slay.
Yes, that's it.
Do you ever just it's happening on Instagram, people quoting you back? Where do these quotes come from? Or is it just flowing naturally for you? Are they inspired by your life experiences? Where do you think this wealth of just quotability comes for Chris Sapphire?
You know, I consider myself a channel, and a huge part of my existence is very spiritual based. So before I do anything on stage or on camera, I actually meditate and I pray and I'm like, God, do your thing through me. Yeah. And I believe those one-liners that people fell in love with came out of the blue, came through those prayers, and I'm forever grateful. Because now I will be honest, now the fresh is the lettuce one, that my friend would say that all the time in that moment, just popped out of my head. But a lot of the other ones, like don't rush your cake, let it bake, all those things that were just popping up, they came from the other realm.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I love this this practice of meditation, kind of getting into that headspace, and I think that's clearly something. Again, doing a little bit of research into who you are that helps helps people attach to you as a person and really feel that flavor that you bring. You shared that before joining the circle. You just shared that joining the circle was a really unique opportunity. And I can imagine that maybe your family had some fun reactions to hearing that this is something that was going to be on the horizon for you. And I don't think I saw like any reactions in my research that your family had to the idea that you'd be on this show. I'm just curious, was this something where they were all excited for you, or were they a little trepidatious? What can you tell me about the reaction that your family had to knowing that you'd be on this reality show?
Well, it was all top secret for many, many months. The reaction honestly was of, whoa, this kid speaks and things come into fruition. For many years before the circle, right before the circle, I had done a small part in another reality show called Dancing Queen with the world famous Alyssa Edwards. She's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But even after that and before Dancing Queen, every time we'd go to WinStar Casino, and we would lose sometimes. On our way home, the drive of shame, I would always tell my Mom, I feel that something really big is coming, and I feel that it's going to be life-changing and it's going to do everything. And then it came. But let me backtrack just a little bit. In the year 2019, out of the blue, I got this feeling that I needed a passport. And when I get these spiritual feelings, these convictions, I know something's about to pop off. And my mom goes, "Why do you need a passport?" I said, "Mom, because I think God is going to take me around the world this year." I had no clue that there was a show called The Circle coming down in a few months or anything.
Yeah, why would you?
One afternoon, Alyssa Edwards calls and she says, "Chris, they're about to call you in 20 minutes. I said, "Who?" She said, "There's casting producers. They're looking for people for a new show called The Circle. I think you'd be perfect because you're all about social media. Bye." So she hung up. Next thing you know, the call comes through. "Hi, how you doing? This is Chris." The casting agent was like, "Oh my God, you sound exactly the way Alyssa described you." And I said, "Well, this is me. I've been doing me since 93. And the call was wonderful. Now, mind you, I had auditioned for reality shows before, so this process wasn't new for me. I call it like a roller coaster. I go up the hill, but I never made it down the hill to enjoy that rush. I had been so close on many shows. I even got cast on another one, but it just got dropped by the network. So throughout the years, I had auditioned. But this process was different. I kept getting a call back and a call back and a call back. And finally, poof, they're like, "Chris, we need you in France." I was like, what the F? And I told my mom, I said, "Mom, look at that. I told you God was going to send me around the world." Mind you, I had never been around the world. They needed me in France. From France, I took a plane to Manchester, UK, and the rest is history.
And you already had the passport.
And I had the passport. So I'm telling you, a lot of my being is intertwined with the supernatural, and it has proven itself real. All the things I've ever wanted to do were once a prayer. On my wall over here, you can't see it, but there's a picture of me on the cover of a magazine. And I remember when I was growing up, I would pray. I'm like, "God, I wonder what it feels like to be on the cover of a magazine." And when I look at that, I'm like, well, there it is.
Yeah.
So it's very trippy. My family was very wowed out. They're like, "Dude, this is crazy." And they were very, very happy for me. And I went and filmed it in the UK. I was over there for a month, 2 weeks. I was a tourist 2 weeks. I filmed it, flew back to the United States on my birthday, my 31st birthday of all days.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some weird serendipity type stuff, I think, in your story for sure. Just
For sure.
feeling these things are going to happen for you and kind of wishing them into existence, landing on your birthday on certain periods. I mean, that's kind of interesting.
It's very supernatural. And I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's so many stories. I hope that was the right saying. But there's so many stories that are like that. After the circle, people that I grew up idolizing and dreaming of one day being friends with, that I would tell my friends for years, "Oh, I'm going to be friends with this person one day." Now they're in my phone. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't make this up. You just
Yeah.
can't. So I tell folks, I think I'm like a modern day Forrest Gump. I have done so many things in my life and been all around. And here
Yeah.
we are at this point.
Yeah.
And even teaming up with Nebraska Furniture Mart is another dream come true. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, you seem to really have this balance of humor and sincerity, just like down pat. And I'm curious, how do you keep your energy up through like competition and isolation, or just like the ups and downs of your career? Like, where does that come from for you?
It comes from the promise that everything is going to be all right. It comes from the promise that my life is already planned out and I'm just enjoying the ride. And that's where I get that strength to not compete. I get that centeredness to not worry,
Mhm.
to stay just in the moment and really enjoy it because everything is under control with something beyond myself. And when you learn and wake up from the illusion of control and you realize you don't really have it much, just barely self-control, I'm like, why would I want to be in control of anything when I can give it to something beyond myself? And that's how I stay in that mental headspace. And it's like this never-ending well of energy when you naturally probably wouldn't have the energy, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really deep stuff. And I promise everybody I have not smoked a blunt or anything. This is just coming through, y'all.
this this is just the authentic, as
This
we
is what
said,
it is.
the real deal,
It
Chris
is what
Sapphire.
it is. And it is what it is. And it's funny because I see comments back in the day when I was on the circle and I saw some comments. People are like, oh my gosh, I thought he was going to be really churchy, but he turned out to be totally different with his spirituality. I'm like, it is.
Yeah,
Because for me, I function in it and I try to apply it into the world. I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint, anybody, but I try to really walk it and use it. And I've seen it work in my life. And that's how I function in this world.
yeah, yeah. I love that you've especially, uh with like your career, the types of things that you've been doing, you just found your own version of it that works for you. And I think that's super special.
It's true. It's true. And it's also very weird how all this has manifested in my life because when I was in middle school, unbeknownst to me, my journalism teacher had submitted me for a contest, a college level journalism contest. And
Oh,
she
wow.
put me into the radio part of this contest. And at the end of the day, I went to the University of Texas in Arlington. At the end of the day, I won this college level contest. Mind you, I was in middle school.
What?
Never did I think that my future would be a full circle moment, bringing me back into the world of media and all this stuff. So again, it's been planned since the beginning and I'm just living it. I guess this is my mission in life that I'm supposed to be in the world of media
Yeah.
because even after high school, when I started my makeup career, everywhere I'd go, a lot of the photographers are like, dude, we want to take photos of you. We want you on camera. And I said, okay. So I would post these fun pictures that they'd take of me in those days on MySpace. And
Yep.
I would post my thoughts on MySpace and fun videos and stuff. And people would always say, oh my gosh, you sound like you're a talk show host or like you should be on radio. So one day out of the blue, I came across a casting for a new radio show in Dallas and they were looking for personalities. And I wrote them, just see where this would all lead. I ended
Yep.
up getting the part instantly. And I
Yeah.
did that for years. And like like you said, serendipity, one thing led to the next, to the next, to the next, and here we are.
I'm curious because I know being a makeup artist, obviously you're helping a lot with radio and TV, and you have this kind of um this role in that world, kind of a foot in it. Do you remember maybe your first like big makeup gig where like there were those people who could like make those kinds of decisions for you, and how that played out?
I do. One of my biggest makeup gigs, I'm not going to say the designer, but I was hired to do the makeup for a fashion show, and it was tons of girls in the back, and it was just me. And I can't remember if there was somebody else. I just feel like it was just me doing
Oh,
the
wow.
makeup. And at the end of the show, they didn't want to pay me. And it was so wild. Here they had gassed me out. Chris, we hear you're the best in Dallas, this, and that. And at the end of the show, they didn't even want to pay me, not even $1. Yet they were like, we love the work, everything. And it was such a learning moment to really never fall down those kind of holes again, to not be afraid to charge, to know your worth, to not be taken advantage of. And it's crazy because it was one of my biggest shows. Now, I had a great time doing makeup in those days. I traveled all over the DFW. I did photo shoots, weddings. I did it all. So the majority of the time, it was a wonderful experience. But as for my big experience, it was kind of sad that they didn't even want to pay me. So
Yeah.
for all the people out there that work in the gigs, honey, get paid and don't be afraid to charge your worth. If they have money to throw a huge production, they have money to pay you, boo.
100%. Yeah. So that situation just was like, hey, it's not going to happen, and you had to kind of move on from there. That's
I just
crazy.
moved on and
Yeah.
I added it to my resume, my portfolio, of course, because I mean, hey, y'all weren't going to use me and I'm not
Gotta
going to
take
at least,
something for
I
it.
got to get
Yeah.
something out of it.
Yeah.
But it was a great life lesson that I carry forever. So
Yeah.
yeah, I tell the folks that are coming up, I'm like, get your money, honey. You know, bills come every month and they're not going to stop till we leave this world. So they got to
Sure.
get paid somehow.
Yeah. Practically speaking, was that something that like you had contracts ahead of time, or like how did you kind of implement that learning
You
lesson?
know, there was not even a contract, and that was part of my ignorance being so young and new to the game. It was just, we heard you're the best. We want you to come do
Yeah.
this.
You got
I was so
excited.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these days, you know, I'm 36 now. I've learned a lot in the biz. So it's like, thank God for agents and managers and people that really help you navigate this territory.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, after the circle, when everything was, oh my goodness, at a million miles an hour, I am so grateful for agents and managers and people that taught me how to really blossom in that moment.
Yeah. Well, you talked about this already, like that casting call for the radio show being kind of a really big deal to like officially get some chops going when it comes to hosting and interviewing and like really kind of displaying this big personality that you have. Um, I'm curious. You were talking to TV icons, reality stars, musicians, and you were known, I think, really for your ability to connect with guests and asking for, I don't know, maybe a friend here. What do you say is the key if you're in a position where you're talking to the Chris Sapphires of the world to having connection and being able to kind of like break through in those scenarios?
I would tell folks just listen and flow and treat the guest like they're your best friend. Make them feel your spirit, that they're safe, that they're comfortable, and just have a great natural conversation and see where it goes. Sometimes when it's not too scripted or it's not too ABCDEFG, you have the best interviews because it was just so natural. Now I know we have those certain points we always got to get to, but if you just listen and let it surprise you and let it just flow, some of those interviews are the best, and the people will love them because it's just so natural and organic, honey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I keep referring to my script because I need my crush, I will take that into consideration. Definitely something that I need to get better at. I
Oh,
appreciate
you're
the.
doing a great job. Don't
Oh,
worry. We look, when I was in LA, I
yeah,
got booked to host a talk show for Netflix called the Extra Circle. And a good friend of mine, Layla Muhammad, who is a true television personality, I got a hold of her when I was in my hotel and I was like, Layla, does it look bad to look at your cue cards when you're filming? She's like, no, honey, you look at those cue cards if you need to. If you got to read those questions, you read them and you do what you do. And I said, thank you, Layla. I'm running with that. So, hey, sometimes we have to look at those questions. So you do you.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Chris. I'm just fishing for compliments over here. Okay, so this career trajectory that you've been on, starting with after the radio, after you kind of had your internet show, you had a kind of a gig with CW for a little while, and then of course the Circle. How would you say that each of these experiences have kind of shaped your worldview when it comes to working in the entertainment industry and figuring out like what your path is? Because I mean, a lot of them are similar, but there's some differences. And did you kind of have a clear map in mind when you were doing all these things, or has it just been? I know we just talked about the flow, being organic. I'm curious if that's been the approach.
Well, I will say the CW gig was also one of those woo kind of
It was a big
moments.
one. Yeah,
It was a big one. And I'll tell everybody how that happened. I was actually working in medical billing with a best friend. And I did that for a few months. And some little light bulb went off in my head that said, Chris, use this money from this gig to buy all the things you need to make your YouTube show so incredible that it will open the door to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. Now, get this. At that time, I had landed a contract with World of Wonder, the people that do RuPaul's Drag Race, the production company, to make YouTube videos for their YouTube network. And I was working on that, but I knew I could have made it better. So when I was working in medical billing and saving money and buying all these things to make my show better, one day I told my best friend, because he was in the cubicle right next to me, I said, you know what? I'm going to leave this job. I think I have what I need. I'm going to go work on my YouTube. And I'm going to make it so good. I'm going to go get me a TV gig. And just the way I said it is exactly how it went down. I left the job, put in my 2 weeks notice. I started working on my YouTube show and really giving it more meat. And one day, out of the blue, a producer from the CW writes me and says, Chris, I've seen your YouTube show. Would you be interested in doing television? I said, oh my gosh, yes. So I went up to the studio. It was an audition, landed it instantly. And this was only supposed to be a one-time gig, one spot to talk about celebrities. So I show up the day of. Mind you, this is live television in front of the entire country. This was the CW's version of Good Morning America. So it was syndicated.
Yeah, big
and
deal.
Live in the morning. So I go and I do my spot. Never had done that before. And as I was leaving, the phone is ringing. Ding. Hello, Chris. Everyone at the station loved it. Would you be interested in doing this for the rest of the year? I said, let's do it. Mind you, I didn't go to college or anything for broadcast journalism, but God will qualify the unqualified. And I did that gig for a whole year, live television all across the country. And I'll never forget, it was 1 or 2 weeks when some of the main anchors were gone. They had me on the main stage anchoring the news to the country. And I soaked all that knowledge up, and I learned and I watched and I absorbed it. And so after The Circle, when Netflix called me and wanted me to do the Extra Circle talk show host gig, I'll never forget sitting on the set and looking around and going, this is why you had me doing the morning news, God. Because now I knew how to do everything up in that talk show set. So it's like I said earlier in the interview, it's already been written. I'm just living it. And how it's all just been like boom, boom, boom to the next thing. So right now I'm in this new space where I'm like, I have that feeling again that something big is coming. I don't know what, but I feel it coming. So you heard it here.
Well, you've been right on so many cases up to this point. So
yes.
I feel like if you're feeling it, then it's going to be happening. And I think we're all excited for you when it does.
Thank you. I can't wait to see what it is. I fly out to LA here next week. Yeah. And I have a big meeting out there and I'm like, oh, Lord, what is cooking?
Yeah. Anything that you can tell us? I mean, I'm sure it's early days, but I'm curious if you've got thoughts or dreams for where this next chapter of Chris Sapphire goes.
I would love to host a show where I take people around the world to some of the hottest spots, to the fun places, restaurants, historical places. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I'm sure you are with Rick Steves Europe, PBS 100%. Icon.
Yes.
That type of show is a dream show that I would love to do and carry on that type of legacy, travel, show people interesting spots. Plus I love history. I'm very nerdy in that area. And also I would love love to have my own talk show. Kind of like what Ellen had, a fun, upbeat talk show where you can just chat about whatever, give away tons of blessings to people, and just pay it forward. Because I feel like I've been so blessed by God. I just want to pay it forward in so many ways to the world.
Yeah. Do you have you thought of like what the name is for this show? I feel like
I
that's
would say
something
the Chris
you're so
Sapphire Show.
quotable.
My talk show would be the Chris Sapphire Show. We just got to do it. Now, if I had a traveling show, Chris
I feel
conquers the globe. I don't know. Something like
perfect.
that.
Perfect. Inspired. Well, Chris, I'd love to kind of pivot a little bit and talk about growing up. We've kind of talked kind of around it a little bit. You grew up in Dallas, is that correct?
Yes, born and raised.
Yeah. Was it a nice place to grow up?
Oh, I love Dallas with all my heart. I feel like an unofficial ambassador to the city. Everywhere I travel, I tell people I'm from Dallas so proudly. It is a beautiful city, and right now it is just exploding with people moving here from all over the country. I read a report the other day that said by the year 2100, now we'll all be dead by then. They expect the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex to be the largest in the entire United States of America, with about 30 to 40 million people living here by that time. So just being here till I become an old man, I'll get to see that evolution. But I love Dallas. I'm from the Oak Cliff area, but was raised in another area called Pleasant Grove. Now I got to see it change throughout the decades. The 90s, there was some gang violence going on, but all that is now gone. It's all gone. And a lot of Dallas is changing. A lot is being gentrified too. But I'm excited to see where this city is going. The nickname of Dallas is the Big D. And the spirit of this city has always been to be larger than life. And it's fun to be a part of it and to be from here, because I feel like my spirit and my energy connect with that ambition of larger than life, to be bigger. I mean, look at this hair. Look at the hair. It says it all.
It's undeniable. Yeah.
It's
100%.
huge. It's
Yeah.
full
I
of
like that metaphor. Well, do you have siblings as well?
I do. I have one brother. It's just me
Okay.
and him. I think they call us Irish twins. We're both September babies. I'm the 9th, he's the 21st. So for about 2 weeks, we're the same age every year. He's way taller than me. I'm 6'2". He's almost 6'5".
Oh, dang.
We are so opposite, but we get along so well.
Interesting. Were you homebodies as kids, or were you out all the time, kind of running around the town?
Oh, we were everywhere. We were those active kids. The 90s was a great time to grow up. The
Yeah.
90s was a renaissance, honestly. The music, the video games, the fashion, the TV, everything was popping in the 90s. And it was such a blessing to grow up at that time. We were out running in the yard. We were building little tree houses. We were playing army. I was a husky kid. And my brother had me running, running everywhere. I remember being out of breath. I hated gym in elementary school, and it came and bit me in the butt in high school. Gym. Oh, Lord. Yeah, we were very active kids, even though I didn't really like being out there sweating and getting dirty. But hey, it was a lovely childhood, and I'm forever grateful to have experienced it.
Yeah. What was your go-to weekend activity?
Oh, I loved going to McDonald's to eat everything. I'll tell you what I used to eat at McDonald's. I would sit there. I ordered 2 Big Macs, a large French fry, 20 McNuggets, a McFlurry, and an apple pie, and I would eat all of that in one sitting. It's amazing I'm still alive.
Yeah, that's a little bit supersize me level.
Oh, I was so big, beautiful, and happy. I love food. I still do. Food makes me really happy, but at this age, I got to watch myself, Oh my God, can't go
Well,
crazy with it.
everything in moderation. I mean, as long as you're doing
Oh,
that.
yes. But I
Yeah.
tell you what, I live down the street from a KFC, and just driving by smelling that fried chicken, I'm like, Lord, why? Why, God? I love food. It makes me so happy. Actually, one of my favorite things in life is spicy food. And I
Yep.
dream of one day having my own hot sauces sold all around the world, because I could speak about spicy food for the rest of my life. I love it. It's a passion. And I also love a dish called turkey tetrazzini. It's really hard to find out in the world, but if you find it or you see it somewhere, you got to try it. It's delicious. It's got big old chunks of turkey noodles and it's smothered in cheese. And if you have a big old thing of garlic bread next to you, just use that garlic bread like it's a tortilla and just, ow.
That sounds great. Yeah, I think I'd like to try that. I've never heard of that dish before.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, between you and I hope that in heaven we can eat whatever we want and not have to worry about anything like blood pressure, diabetes, or any of that stuff. I just want to eat. You know, in a perfect world between you and I, if pickle juice wasn't so bad for us with so much sodium, I think I would pour myself a full glass of pickle juice and drink that instead of water.
This is where you and I vary, Chris. The pickle juice, I don't know if I could do that personally, but everyone, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum.
It's so good.
So your personality, was this formed as a kid, or was this something that kind of developed over time?
As a child, I was very, what's the word? Analytical, analyzing everything. I see videos of me as a little boy and I would just stare at everyone. And I think around 4th, 5th, and 6th grade is when something just popped in my head. And I remember being in class and I would start joking around and kids would just start laughing at all the stuff I would say. And even my brother tells me, my brother's like, dude, you figured something out at a very young age. And in that epiphany that I had or whatever, it opened me up. And I've never been able to close myself back up again. It's been wild.
Yeah, what do you think happened that like triggered that in you? I mean, you were analyzing, if I had to guess, analyzing, kind of soaking things in, world, and maybe you just kind of got to a point where you're like, I've got enough information where I feel like I'm ready.
It was exactly that. It was that I was analyzing the world, soaking it in, studying it, and now I had got to a point where I was ready to try it out and give it back to humanity, and it worked. And it just got really, really wild. I remember after 6th grade when I went to middle school, the first day of middle school, I had all these girls running up to me and they're like, hi, who are you? Blah, 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 blah. And middle school just was insane. One day, I'll never forget it. I walked in the front doors and I was just ambushed by all these girls screaming. And my middle school life was insane. It was like being a rock star or something. It was so weird. And when I got to high school, it became even more weird. And I'll never forget my first day of high school. I was sitting down in my first class and a lovely girl came up to me and she said, oh, I've heard about you. And I said, oh, hi. And so never in a million years did I think after high school or anything that here I'd be in these shoes. So,
because it sounds like you were a star back then.
Dude, my whole life is something's going on.
Yeah.
Something is going on. And I think this is all a gift. It has to be a gift because this is how I've ended up in these spaces and places. And yeah, it started off as a child. I was in theater. I was on stage acting. It's so interesting because there is a part of me that is a bit shy, but God does not allow that to take over me. He's always putting me in places and spaces where I can't turn into a little turtle. I'm always being stretched out and expanded and forced into spots and places where I can't run. And I have a philosophy where it's like you sink or swim, and I refuse to sink. So all my life, I've just been swimming and flying. And it started as a kid.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I know one story that I really liked was this idea that Sister Act 2 was one of like the first trigger points for this performance bug.
Yes.
How did like a comedy about singing nuns help spark your journey there? I mean, it's a great story, but I'm curious, like where, like you see Sister Act 2 and it's just the brilliance of Whoopi Goldberg, I'm sure, but like how did that inspire you to performance?
Oh my gosh, you just made me realize something that's so out there. Like, whoa, how my life has been so spiritual and performative. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like Sister Act. Oh my gosh, it made me
It's
realize
all
something.
wrapped up in this
Whoa.
movie.
Whoa. Yeah, as a kid, I loved Sister Act, the franchise. And Sister Act 2, I would play the opening sequence over and over and over again. I just love the production, seeing Whoopi on that stage, the lights, the big hair, the sequins, all of it. I loved it as a kid. And watching it made something go off in me that was like, this is what you need to do. You have to be Dolores Van Cartier. Oh my goodness. I just loved it. And I'll never forget being in my first grade class and Mr. Nicastro, bless his heart wherever he is, was like, hi, is Christopher in this class? And it was me. And he's like, I need you to come with me. And that was when I got enrolled into the tag program. So I started doing theater from first grade all the way up until eighth grade. Then when I got into high school, I knew I had a gift for drawing. I said, well, I want to focus on something else and, cultivate that. So I went to high school for art. So yeah, it all started as a kid. Isn't that weird? And Sister Act. Sister Act was that catalyst, that thing that made me want to be on stage. It's so weird.
That is so weird. And I like how that like really sums up, like you said, just in one movie, like this personality that you've accumulated with the faith and the humor and just the showmanship, all of that. I think it's kind of interesting.
Oh,
that
that's
you came to that.
weird. Yeah, and I
that's
just realized that today on your show. How weird. I got to write that down so I don't forget it. I'm like, oh my gosh, my life became like Sister Act.
So you went to performing arts school
Yes.
in high school, and you were talking about being in theater. Were you like automatically the star of the show, or was that something that you had to kind of work up to? I'm curious kind of what productions you were in, what were your favorites, all that kind of stuff.
My very first performance, I was a singing egg. I was a singing egg on stage. I was in an egg costume, just singing my heart out. What I sang, I don't remember, but I remember being an egg. And then I did a lot of background work, learning the production side of stuff. And then my theater teacher's like, we need you on stage. We want you to do this Christmas number, all this stuff. So it was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of both. And growing up, it's been a little bit of both too. I know how it is, the behind the scenes world, and I know how it is to be in front of the camera. So whenever I'm on set, I'm so easy to work with. No diva here at all, because I know how exhausting and tiring it is to put on a production or to edit videos and all that. So I don't want anyone, having any issues with me. I'm like, honey, we're here to work. Let's do this. Let's make some magic. When I filmed The Extra Circle in LA, I remember I got on set. They're like, do you need anything? I said, I just want some orange juice. And I think we filmed for 6 or 7 hours straight, if I remember correctly.
On orange juice.
On orange juice, because I wanted everyone, let's get in, let's get out. I don't want to keep people here all night. So no diva attitude at all. But yeah, since childhood, behind the stage, in front of the stage, all of that.
They could have at least got you some oatmeal cream pies, right? I mean, that probably you could write that in to the next.
I'll keep that in mind for the next thing. Let's get some oatmeal cream pies, some honey buns.
There we go. Okay, so I'm curious, what do you miss most about your home? You're about to go to LA. What do you miss most about your hometown when you're away?
Oh, the Tex-Mex food. Dallas, Texas, in general, Tex-Mex reigns supreme here. Mexican food. Chips and salsa. When I'm in LA, it's always work. Everything is going a million miles an hour every time I'm over there. So I really don't have time to really sit. But that's what I miss the most. The food, the chips and salsa. I tell folks if an asteroid was about to come hit the world and we're all going to die, I want chips and salsa.
Chips and salsa is so good, though. I think that's a solid end of the world meal for sure. Since this is a podcast about home and the home life, one of the things we're always curious about is what do you remember about the house that you grew up in? Like the paint, the art on the walls, the furniture, anything.
I remember things not matching sometimes.
Okay.
I remember the walls always being white. I remember huge, big, bulky 90s furniture. The entertainment center had huge shelves and just a little square cut out for your big tube TV. Oh, the 90s were something else. I remember the couches being covered in flowers. For some reason, the 90s was all about floral couches, and my mom ran with it. Good times. Great times, though. I remember running around this house, it feeling humongous.
Yeah.
But now at 36 and being my age and my height and everything, I'm like, oh, I've outgrown this house. Yes.
That's interesting. Would you say that things weren't matching? I mean, was your mom like into like the design of the home, or just doing what she could to kind of like put together the life for you guys?
I think it was a bit of both. It was let's put together something as best as I can. And thank you, Mom, for all of that and all
Yeah.
her hard work and doing what she could. But as we got older and me going to art school and stuff, I learned more about how things have to be cohesive and blend and mesh together. And so I now help a lot around the house. I'm like, look, we need this, so it'll match this, and let's create an energy, a cohesive energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Does your mom approve of that help, or is that something where you're just like inserting yourself and she's like,
Oh, she loves
okay,
it.
Chris, hold on. She loves it. Yeah.
She loves it. This whole new living room set. She loves it. Loves it. Loves it. I love my bedroom. I love everything that came to me. Thank you, Nebraska Furniture Mart. What a gift. What a blessing. I'm loving it all. It's so cool. And between you and I, earlier this year, we were sitting on our big brown couch that we had. And I remember Mom was saying, God, I want change. I just want a new whole living room set, everything. I said, it's coming. Watch. And look, it came.
There you go, manifesting again. I think
It came.
I think that's something that we all can take from this, and from you especially, is this idea of like making this stuff real by saying it and believing it and inspiring it in others and the people around you. So I appreciate that lesson, just in getting a chance to know you here today, and also just in knowing you offline as well, and out in the world. So thanks for that, Chris.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And thanks to all the viewers and listeners, honey. If you're out there, you're like, oh my gosh, what is this guy talking about? This is a sign. Faith, honey, can move mountains. Start believing.
Yeah. Well, talk to me a little bit more about this, this kind of remodel kind of situation that you're doing today. I know that your bedroom turned out great. I mean, this like 98-inch TV that you've got in there is
Oh,
just
wow.
after my own heart. Can you tell us like what you were looking for when you started this this process of like, here's where our house is today, and here's where we want it to go to? Was it something that you're like Pinterest boarding, or like how did you like technically get into the thought process of some remodeling going on with the place that you live today?
Well, I had a 65-inch TCL TV that I had purchased right after the circle because the television I had at that time exploded.
Oh no.
And so it gave up on me.
Yeah.
And when I bought this TCL TV, I was new to the TCL brand. I had heard of it, but I had never really tested it out. And I'll never forget turning it on, going, oh my God, this is incredible. And throughout the years, especially last year, we had upgraded the television in the living room to a bigger size for my mom's birthday, an 85-inch TV. And seeing how fun it made watching television on such a big screen sparked up this light bulb in me where I was like, man, I think it's time to upgrade from my little 65-inch TCL to something bigger. So it was something that was cooking up in me. And so I did research and I said, I like TCL so much. I like this. I want to give this a shot of upgrading to a bigger TCL TV. And so Nebraska Furniture Mart came into my life. And when the opportunity came to upgrade, I said, here it is. Oh my gosh, the television I've been wanting. And now I look at it and it has changed everything between you and I. I feel like my room is my own personal theater now. Not only did I get the television, I bought a state-of-the-art surround sound system, and I'm a big Tina Turner fan. So best believe when I set everything up, I popped in a Tina Turner live DVD, cranked it up, and it felt like I was at a concert. My family members came over and walked into my room. They're like, good God, how big is that? I was like, it's 98 inches. And I just, again, larger than life. And
Yep.
I am so happy and so grateful to have this television. And I pray it lasts me many, many years. But it's been phenomenal.
Yeah. Did it start with the idea of like, I do want this kind of like movie experience in the room? I mean, the upgrade of
Yes.
like the TV in your in the family room, you're like, I want bigger and
Yes.
better. That's where it kind of the whole process started, was like, let's get this, and then I'm gonna build everything out around it.
Yes. Seeing how cool it was watching television in the living room on such a big TV, the 85-incher we got my mom, really sparked that interest in me. Like, man, I should really upgrade what I have in my room too, because I like to hang out a lot in my room. It's like my little cave of serenity.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, it's time to upgrade. I love watching the news. I love learning about politics and keeping up with that. And I was like, it'd be really cool to have a bigger TV to watch the news on and to
Yeah.
watch these epic movies that I love. I'm such an epic type of guy. I love period pieces type movies. I love stuff like Gladiator, Lord of the Rings, Titanic type stuff. And I thought, man, can you imagine watching Titanic on a 98-inch television? And I did the other night, and it gave me everything I needed and more. I'm telling you, that raft looked big enough for two people. That raft looked big enough for two people. Jack should still be alive somewhere.
Free Jack. This is wrong.
She said, I'll never let go, and she let him go into the dark abyss of that cold water. She should have scooted over a little bit.
Come on, James Cameron. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
So, is there like a room? So, would you say that your bedroom is the room that represents you best in the house today?
I used to have a room in the back of the house, but as
Okay.
I got older, I outgrew it. And so this house that I live in, the room that I'm in used to be a garage, and it
Oh,
was
really?
transformed into a room by the previous owner. And we
Okay.
used to use this room as a dining room. And I told my mom, I think I need more space. She let me turn the dining room into my room, and now it's
Wow.
literally like a New York sized efficiency. And I've outgrown this room too, to be honest. But a lot of the success that was happening right after the circle, unfortunately, my dad at the time lost his job of 40 years due to
No.
COVID. Mom had retired a little while right behind that, and my brother was still doing school related stuff. So a lot of that success went to keeping a whole family afloat.
Yeah.
Because one of my big dreams after the circle was to hopefully build like a tiny house so that I could finally have that autonomy and move out to my own little space. Thankfully, we own this property. So I'm like, it'd be nice to build in the back, have my own space. But it didn't happen because of circumstances. But I'm
Sure.
forever grateful that I was able to keep the family going. So I'm still in this garage sized room, but I've really outgrown it. But while I'm here, I want to make it everything and more. And
Yeah.
now, thanks to this 98-inch TV and sound system and new bed and everything, oh, it's becoming better.
Well, I think it looks great. Like I said, the social post that you put together of like showing the transformation, it turned out perfect, and we'll definitely link that for people so they can see how that has really progressed from where you started. I'm curious, like the decorations, the stuff that you have on the wall, like how would you say that kind of pulls in these elements of your personality, and how you end up like showing your flair for design and having everything fit together, your makeup artist. I feel like it's a good representation of like you as a whole person, and this idea of being bigger than life. Um, how would you describe your approach to designing the full space?
For me, I love the color black. And
Okay.
as you can see behind me, a lot of my frames are black. And
Yeah.
my previous bed was gray. So it didn't really blend into everything. And so when this opportunity manifested, I said, I want to upgrade my bed and my two little nightstands and my entertainment center to black, because I feel that this garage is my cave. And I feel that I'm kind of like Bruce Wayne in the sense that I'm like Batman out in the world. But when I'm in my own personal space in my cave, I am Bruce. And I
Yeah.
love that Bruce was always in black and everything is black. So I look at my design like I'm Bruce Wayne. I want everything to be modern, the color black because it's so chic. And then everything on the wall is totally not black. It's super colorful. It represents the other side of me when I'm out in the world, the Batman side.
Yeah.
So that's how I approach my decoration. I want everything to blend. So, like here where I'm filming this with you guys, it's my little makeup station. It's all nice black and silver. My bed's black, the entertainment, everything, even my desk matches. I want everything to be cohesive, to have harmony. And so that's how I look at it. Nice, adult like, chic, mixed with all the colorfulness that I put out into the world.
It looks fantastic. It really
Thank
does.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I'm always curious about is like, do you have family heirlooms in the home? Things that like when you get to move into that tiny home, you definitely want to take with you something that like speaks to the journey that your family has been on and you feel like, hey, this is something that I got to take with me and really cherish.
Oh, yes, I have many. I have a beautiful little figurine of Jasmine and Aladdin that my Aunt Marcy, who passed away more than 20 years ago, gave me in the 90s that I will always take with me. I have some shoes, some Christian Louboutin shoes
Oh, dang.
that were given to me by my friend's family. He passed away a few months ago that I will cherish forever. I don't even own a pair of Christian Louboutins for myself yet. And I would always joke with my friend that one day I'm gonna get my shoes, because I always look at my money as how can I spread it to give to more people instead of just spending it on myself. So I've yet to spend like $2,000 on some shoes for myself. But it's so weird. My friend left this world and my first pair of Louboutins are his.
Wow.
But it's a memory. I'm never going to wear them. I'm going to cherish them forever. I'll take those with me whenever I have my little tiny house. There's
Yeah.
so many things. And a lot of the stuff that's on my walls are memories of milestones that I've reached in my life and career that I want to put in my future tiny home that I feel that hopefully next year will, I pray, manifest. Next year, I want to hopefully build my tiny home, or if God sends me my own house, hey. But in the meanwhile, if it's a tiny home, I want this to hopefully happen next year. I can't wait to decorate the living room, the dining room, the restroom. I want a washer and dryer. I want it all. I want it all.
Yeah, having that whole space for yourself to kind of really put your thumbprint on, I'm sure it would just be fantastic
Oh, I want to
to the
make it my
max.
own little castle. I
Yeah.
do, because I love to entertain. And I have a massive boombox system in my back little studio that I'm like, man, whenever I have my own little place, I can't wait to crank that up so high and have friends over at 3, 4 in the morning. Just have a good old Texas time.
Yeah. Well, Chris, we're getting close to the end of our time. I do really appreciate like having this opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. I have one final question for you. You've talked before about the importance of like self-care and
Yes.
mental health, especially like being in the media world. What practices or routines do you rely on to kind of maintain your mental well-being, and maybe what kind of message do you have for folks to practice mental health for themselves? Like what works for you, and what do you think is the best thing for people out in the world to take when it comes to mental health?
I want to encourage people to know that you can overcome depression, you can overcome anxiety. It's not a forever thing. It doesn't have to be. When I was young, 14, 15, I would say about 14, I was bullied severely on the bus and on the train by grown adults and teenagers on my way to school. Now, my school life was great. But after enduring so much bullying and harassment by grown folks, I spiraled into a horrible depression. and started experiencing anxiety where I'm sweating like crazy. So one day I came home and I thought this was going to be the end for me. But there was a book on my bed that introduced me to God. Now, mind you, I grew up going to church, but I never listened. I wanted to go home and play Nintendo. But the way the book spoke to me that day, and I'm so glad I opened it, introduced me to God, and it saved my life. So I want to tell people out there that if you've tried it all, honey, but you haven't tried God, give it a try and watch your life change. I am still here because I put it into practice. It has never failed me, and it says it never will. And I want to encourage people to give it a try. Don't listen to the folks out there who say, oh, you're gay, God doesn't love you. Don't listen to that. This is a personal relationship with the creator of all things. And the creator has helped me so much. And he will help you too. So, honey, you can get out of the darkness. You can get out of the anxiety. You can get out of that and tap into this new thing that will show you and open your eyes in a way that you have yet to experience. So go experience it, because after a while you just get tired of being tired and you're craving this savior. Well, the savior is already here, honey. Go get it. The savior already came. Go find it. And life will change, and it does get better, and all that can go away. Or if it doesn't fully go away, it can lose a lot of its grip, and you can find a new balance in life where you can keep going and start living again. So don't give up. There's always hope.
Well said, Chris. Thank you again so much for this opportunity. Where would you send people if they want to learn more about you and follow your journey to manifesting both the tiny house, the world travel TV show, and everything else that you got coming to you?
Honey, y'all can find me on Instagram at Mr. Chris Sapphire. Or if you want to find all my other socials, feel free to go to Google and just type in Chris Sapphire and it'll all pop up there, and I will see you there. Just remember, you see the little check mark, that's me, because there are fake sites out there, people pretending to be me. It ain't me, honey. If you see the little check mark, that's me, and I will see you there. Thank y'all so much for having me. Thank y'all for the beautiful blessings. I can't wait to just enjoy the holiday season, watching all my favorite Christmas movies on the big TV and all the fun new shows and things that are coming. I'm forever grateful. And thank y'all for helping me make my mom's dream come true of having a new living room set. We are thoroughly enjoying it all. And I hope and wish the best for everyone out there who's listening, honey. Dreams come true.
Thank you so much, Chris. And I want to thank everyone listening. Make sure to like, rate, subscribe, do all the things wherever you listen to I Am Home. And for more about our company, head over to nfm.com, where you can shop 24/7 for today's top furnishing styles. Till then, remember, home is what you make it.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hillary Waltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.